Hi, beautiful souls. Welcome back to this astrology, human design, and Gene Keys channel with me today, Tan. And you've never heard of the Gene Keys before, I would highly recommend that you check out an introduction video that I made on the Gene Keys, links in the description box below as well as up above, and also a link to the website where you can get your Gene Keys profile for free so you can see if you have this archetype hidden there anywhere. Whether that's in your Gene Keys profile, in your human design body graph, or maybe even in your astrology natal chart. As well as if you're interested in getting a birth chart reading, human design, or Gene Keys reading, then you can also head over to my astrology website, tanastrology.com, where me and my team are offering a variety of different services there for you. If any of them feels right for you, we would be happy to be your guides on your self-discovery journeys. And without further ado, we are going to be getting into Gene Key 41 today, which is associated with the zodiac sign of Aquarius. And it is also the same as Human Design Gate 41. So, by the way, I'm recording this part of the video for the second time because I thought I hit record the first time and then I was just talking and realized I hadn't. So now I'm doing this for the second time. All right, so we like all of my Gene Key videos, we're going to begin with the archetype overview. So, Gene Key 41 moves from the shadow of fantasy to the gift of anticipation to the siddhi of emanation. And it spans from 2 degrees of Aquarius to 337 degrees of Aquarius. So if you have your birth chart in front of you, you can even see if you have anything, whether it's a planet or an angle or a point in your birth chart that is from 2 to 3 to 737 degrees of Aquarius, it will fall under this particular human design gate or Gene Keys. And the dream arc vision key bird here is the swallow. The life key animal is the kangaroo. And the fear key underworld creature, which is associated with the shadow, is the eel. In the codon ring, this gene key is part of the ring of origin, and it's associated with the amino acid methionine. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. And it's the one and only gene key in the ring of origin. In the 64 I Ching hexagram, this hexagram is mountain over lake, also called decrease. Mountain reflected in the lake below. Let the mind settle to reveal true wisdom of the next journey. The programming partner of this particular Gene Key is Gene Key 31. That's Human Design Gate 31, associated with Leo archetype, because Leo and Aquarius are opposite signs. So I would highly recommend that you tune in to my video on Gene Key 31 as well, which will be posted in a few days, and see how Gene Key 31 can offer a balancing complementary opposite point to this particular Gene Key. And in human design, Gene Key 41 Gate 41 is located in the root and connects to gate number 30 in the solar plexus. This channel is called the channel of daring or recognition. It moves from the shadow of wishfulness to the gift of daring to the siddhi of jubilation. So as we like to start our Gene Keys video, we want to look at a archetype in nature that symbolizes this Gene Key. And when it comes to the bird kingdom, it is the swallow that symbolizes Gene Key 41. And why might that be the case? I do have to say that as I was doing research on the swallow, I didn't really quite find anything significant in terms of why the swallow and the characteristics of the swallow is linked to Gene Key 41. But if you also look at the kangaroo as being the life key and the eel being the shadow, now it's kind of making sense with regards to this theme of jumping, quantum leaps, we can say, or far distances. You can understand the energy here. So the swallow has what is called a fork tail. In the legends, the swallow was considered to be a bird that stole fire from the gods to bring to people. And fire is, in a lot of legends, the symbol of the origin and the beginning of things. And this Gene Key, of course, is located in the codon ring called the codon ring of origin. The swallow is considered to be a symbol of the heralds of spring and rebirth. In the past, people have used the flight of the swallow to help predict the weather. And I want to emphasize the word prediction here because that's a quality of this Gene Key as well. In the past, their migration paths were very noticeable. That's why it was used to help people predict the weather. So I want to talk a little bit about migration because that seems to be linked to the swallow and the legends or the past of how people viewed the swallow. The first belief related to why birds migrate or why animals migrate is a phenomenon called the morphic resonance, or the theory of morphic resonance. What they say here is that animals know where to go, which path to take to migrate to, and where their destination should be, because they resonate with previous migrating animals and birds of the same kind. And they do that by drawing up a collective memory of its ancestors, inherent in the morphic field of its migratory path. This morphic field guides birds and other animals to their destination, and also helps to pinpoint where they can stop to rest and where they can stop for food and water. So it's quite a miraculous and magical, but also scientific way about the swallow and this gene key, which we're going to look at right now. So the shadow of this gene key is called fantasy. And what does that mean? So before we can understand why this gene key is called fantasy, I just want to let you guys know that when we're talking about the DNA, the double helix strand in the human body, if you know a little bit about that, you'll know that there are codes, letters, that forms our DNA, and that is the letters A, T, C, and G. The sequence of our DNA will follow a sequence of a bunch of these letters. But when you see A, T, G come together into one sequence, that would usually be considered as the start codon in our DNA. So that start codon in our DNA operates like a front door key, like a key to the front door of a house. And this key to the front door of a house, this key to unlocking various different things in our DNA, this key to starting some of the energies in our body, in our DNA, in our cells, is gene key 41. So gene key 41 is associated with the start codon. When we have a gene key that's associated with a start codon, we have a gene key. So when you want to start something and anything in your life, it all starts with a dream. Anything that you want to do, like building this YouTube channel, it starts with a dream, right? When you start a new job, you start with a dream of what that job would be. And so this dream is also sometimes a fantasy. And if we have these big dreams, right? We want to initiate something, but we don't really know how to go about doing it. The dream will still be there inside of us, but because we're not doing anything about it, it just kind of turns into fantasy. So that's the idea behind gene key 41 and why there's a shadow of fantasy coming in here. So the shadow of fantasy is that you are holding this key, ATG key, that can unlock your dreams and turn your dreams into potential, into manifestation, but you never turn that lock. You literally, well, not literally, but you metaphorically hold the key to your dreams in your hands, but yet you never turn the lock. In the gift, in the higher energy frequency of this, we have a pressure here that is a pressure to evolve. But when you're not turning the lock to actually evolve, that pressure to evolve turns into a pressure to find happiness or to be happy. And that is a lower energy field, lower energy frequency, we can say. So therefore, we can also say that this shadow of fantasy is associated with a feeling of deep appetite and hunger for something, for happiness, to make your dreams come true, but you're not turning the lock, right? You're just like standing there, like with this key in your hand. You're like, oh, I want to turn that lock, and there's going to be something amazing inside, but I'm not turning it on. So there's a bit of an addiction here, if you really think about it, why you're not turning that lock, why you're not making your dreams come true. Because if you're not turning that lock, you're not making the dream come true, then you can always feel this good feeling of something is going to happen in the future. That gets you high, that gets you addicted to the feeling, but not doing anything about that feeling. Because if you were to take action on it, then you won't get to feel that almost like hunger for the future anymore. So the shadow of this archetype has a deep connection with human appetite and energy. It is about feeling hungry for a better future. And it also has a connection with eating, not eating, and depression. So when you're in the shadow of fantasy, this can lead to maybe weight problems and energy problems like chronic fatigue or even hyperactivity, depending on which end of the energy spectrum you have. The shadow of fantasy constantly shuffles between the dream of being full, so the dream of fulfilling your dream, and the urge to be empty. When you are empty, you dream of being full. When you finish the dreaming of being full, you want to be empty again. So this causes you to dream of or fantasize about, maybe it's the perfect soulmate, maybe it's the perfect job, or maybe it's having lots of money. Sometimes it's just about eating a really nice chocolate cake or a bar of chocolate. And you fill yourself up with the good feelings of these dreams. But sometimes when you have this, you really do reach for that bar of chocolate. But I think it's important to not suppress some of these dreams and desires. Like, you know, if you are dreaming of a bar of chocolate, like grab yourself a bar of chocolate, feed those actual physical hungers, but don't go overboard with it. And usually we won't go overboard with it if we're not suppressing. But if we are suppressing some of these urges, then it becomes a big explosion afterwards. And that's when you start grabbing for like 10 bars of chocolate instead of just one. So one of the reasons also why, like when you are full, like when you've done filling yourself up with all your fantasies and you go back to being empty again, is because there's a heaviness, the heaviness of your past. You begin to get weighed down by your past and you go into this feeling of emptiness. It's kind of like when you finish eating a big meal. We've all done that, right? We've all at some point eaten we all got really hungry and then we stuff ourselves with a lot of food. And then after that, we just feel so heavy. It's a little bit like that, but energetically. It's like you get yourself filled up with so much fantasy, so much goodness that it reaches this filling point, and then you feel really heavy from being filled by that. So the shadow frequency prevents you from feeling satisfied, content, or complete. That fullness is not the same as contentment or completeness. It's fullness. And the reason for that is because the mind never stays in the present moment. And when we're talking about your mind filling you with all of these fantasies, what happens when you reach that state of your mind just completely being filled with a fantasy? Your mind is still going somewhere, but now it can't go into the future anymore because it's picked up everything that it could do in the future and it's put in your mind. So now it goes to the past. So it jumps from now to the future. And then when it's filled with everything in the future, it goes to the past. And when it goes to the past, then you begin to feel the heaviness of your past. Maybe something that's happened that's triggered you, some traumas that's happened in the past. And that's when you begin to feel heavy when it comes to the mind. So it's of course, it's different from food. But when we talk about the mind, that heaviness comes from the mind jumping past, future filled, past, heavy, future filled, past, heavy, future filled, past, heavy. So it's very restless in its nature. It swings between dreaming of the future and rehashing the past. You become addicted to the hopes of the future to the point where you never get anything done. You don't actually take action on your dreams. So I would say I know quite a few people who have Jinky 41 in their chart. One of them lives with me. And one of the ways in which these people find balance, helps their minds to find balance and be a little bit in the present moment. Actually, what they do is they watch movies. These people watch a lot of movies. They could watch like 2 to 3 whole movies in a day. They have some kind of series that they, keep watching. Whenever they have free time, they go in front of Netflix, or when the past would be like HBO or something, and then watch something there. And that's not to say that this is healthy or unhealthy, but I think it does bring a little bit of balance there, because instead of them dreaming of their future and trying to fill themselves up with the things in their life that they dream of, but they're not manifesting. Because once you fill yourself up with those things in your life the dreams that you have in your life that you're not actually manifesting, then you just feel good about those dreams and you actually don't want to manifest them anymore. So you take that energy. So instead of bringing those dreams into your fullness, you take imagination, fantasy from movies, fantasy movies, maybe these people like it, or anything that keeps your mind kind of active. This is Aquarius, so it's very mental. So you fill that up instead, so that you still have energy. You still create a little bit of like this mystery for your personal dreams in this life, and then you can take action on your dreams without filling your dreams up inside of yourself in a fantasy, and then not feeling like you have to do anything about it anymore. Did that kind of make sense? This gene key, if you are like a leader and you have this gene key and you're in the shadow frequency of it, you may be able to use fantasy to manipulate other people, which is the shadow frequency of it. The reason why it may be so hard for Gene Key 41 to act and make their dreams a reality is because when you actually stand behind your real dreams in this life, you risk the chance of being misunderstood. You risk the chance of being maybe even outcast in some ways. But here's the thing, that's all in your mind. The reason, the idea behind Aquarius energy is that it rules humanity and it rules the collective. So you're never really alone. You can't be. So if you do manifest your dreams, you will always find your tribe. You just have to go for it. So the repressive shadow of this archetype is called dreaminess. So dreaminess is when you are not living in the real world at all. You want to fulfill your dreams, but you're just addicted to the inner world and the feeling of fullness, like I mentioned previously, that you can just create with your mind. You're not able to form successful or happy human relationships either, because even in relationships, you fantasize about them. And your energy becomes a little bit lethargic, or you get fatigued. Your energetic systems within your body begins to break down. Now, the reactive shadow of fantasy is called hyperactive. This is when you have a bundle of nervous, active energy inside of you. You are always ahead of yourself when it comes to fulfilling your dreams. Your energy may even be ahead of your dreams. You may experience burnout because of this, because the amount of energy that you put outstrips the limitations of the material plane. So energy that you have, we can say, is more than your physical body can even handle. You put a lot of pressure on your nervous system, and the people that are in your life, that are part of your life, become a part of this nervous energy. There may be a lot of drama involved in your relationships, and it can even lead to like the people around you feeling a little bit like you have a destructive energy when they're around you. So if you have this reactive shadow, it might be a good idea for you to let go of some of the obsessions that you have with making your dreams a reality and bringing people into your life, and manifest your dreams, not from obsession, but from realism. So the gift of anticipation. I think when we're talking about the shadow, I might have already talked a little bit about how to get to the gift of anticipation. So therefore, now we're going to actually talk just about the gift of anticipation itself and what it looks like. The gift of anticipation, when you're in this gift, you're very much aware of the morphogenetic fields, just like the migrating birds and the migrating animals. They're very much aware of the morphogenetic fields of their ancestors that guides them to where they have to go and where the destination is. You are doing the same. Your energy has the ability to do the same thing because you have so much energy inside of you. You have so much electric energy inside of you that it literally connects to the energy field around us. That's the morphogenetic fields around us. It's an invisible energy grid that communicates specific information across time and space. Depending on your sensitivity, you can pick up these information either from the past or from the future and bring it into the present. Some people who have this gift may even consider themselves as having premonitions. That's not going to be the case for everybody. You can still be in the gift of anticipation without having premonitions, but you will just kind of know like what you need to do in the present moment in order to bring the trends of the future to the present, or to bring something important of the past into the present to help guide the future. You're going to be very attuned to the next evolutionary energetic grid that is waiting to descend into form. So therefore, this archetype can make a really great leader because of the ability to know what is coming in the future and what you need to do in the present moment to allow evolution to happen in our culture and in our society for a better future. You can download all kinds of beautiful things from the morphogenetic field. So in a way, this is like genius. when you're able to do this, because people in the present day are kind of like, well, how did this person think of this? How did this person know how to do this? This is not, they're bringing something into the world that has never been brought here before. So it's considered genius. And in order to unlock this genius inside of you, you have to take action. You have to manifest. Non-genius dreams, genius manifests. So remember, I talked about how our body being made up of these different codon rings. These codon rings are always like transmitting information to each other and also receiving information from the receiving information from the environment and then transmitting this information to other codon rings within our body, within our DNA. And so the gene key 41, the information that it's picking up from the environment, because it's part of the codon ring of origin, what it actually picks up and puts into your body and communicates with the other codon rings is the source code. It picks up what we can say the source of all things. And we don't just have one start codon, we have several start codons, right? So these start codons are linked to each other electromagnetically in some ways inside our body. And this is the foundation of the holographic body, which is then linked to the holographic universe, linked electromagnetically as well. So you can see why and how the energy of the 41 actually operates. So let's move to the siddhi of emanation. And like I said, the siddhi of these various different gene keys, I wanted to keep it short because there really is nothing left to say when we're in the siddhi. So it's almost like a state of being. It's an enlightened state of being that when you are working with the gift frequently, you would just naturally be in the siddhi. So Richard Rudd describes the siddhi of emanation as being almost like a black hole, where the source of everything begins, but where everything also goes to end. Kind of like the Ouroboros, the snake that goes in a circle and eats its own tail. That's kind of like the energy of emanation. It's where everything begins and everything ends. Emanation, Richard Rudd compares it to the state of enlightenment in general, which when we look at this, a state of enlightenment, we all have the potential to access this state of enlightenment. There's a particular code inside our body and our DNA that needs to be triggered for us to reach that state of enlightenment. And the triggering of this code is spontaneous. You can't just like train yourself into it. When the chemical processes happen in a particular way, then you reach that enlightened state. It arises from an unknown source, kind of like emanation. It arises from an unknown source. The one who has undergone enlightenment has no idea how it has happened and also has no idea who it is happening to, because no one remains anymore to be receiving the enlightenment, to be having enlightenment happen to. The self ceases to exist at that point. It's a little bit of a wild gene key and something to contemplate on a little bit here. But I found it very fun as well to play with some of the energies of these archetypes of the gene keys. So that's going to be it for my transmission of Gene Key 41 today. And if you have this archetype, then comment below and let us know what your experiences have been. If you like this video, then give it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button if you haven't. If you already subscribed, then thank you very much, beautiful souls, for coming along on these astrology journeys, human design and Gene Keys journeys. And if you're interested in getting a reading of any kind from me or my team, then head over to our website, tanastrology.com. We have a variety of services available for you there. You can choose what feels right for you. Bye!